But the question is, what happens when we go to a situation that's mapped in our brain as familiar to unfamiliar? The brain can handle this. The brain can handle this sort of stress. This is like the good stress, like exercise is a good stress that challenges your body to react in a certain way. The brain can handle this, but it happens to occur with discomfort because we're getting stressed, and it can handle creating new pathways. The very unfamiliar can become familiar if we're exposed repeatedly, again and again and again. So if we run away, we're never going to have a chance to create a neural pathway for this new experience or interacting with a new group. So that's done through the process of neuroplasticity, which is getting a lot of buzz these days, which is basically the ability of the brain to rearrange itself and form new neural pathways. And if we keep running away, what will happen is the unconscious brain and the familiar pathways will run the show, and we'll never be exposed to new people, new places. I just want you to think about a new experience, that is an experience of newness. Some folks may be going to another culture and being immersed there, not having food that they're familiar with or some sort of clash. So we'll just hold on to that information for ourselves and no need to share it right now. What I will share is the experience of a number of people who are in this room right now. So we worked on these different brain states, is what we'll eventually call that, being in the higher brain with all that functioning, and the lower brain, the fight, flight, and freeze, with the peak office. And then we had an immersion experience at the Metropolitan Denver North Islamic Center. And this was basically, we shared a meal, and then we had some small group conversations with folks from the mosque, and then stayed for a Friday evening prayer. And leading up to that, there were a lot of questions that, I love questions because it means there's curiosity, which means some of the higher brain is online. Questions about what we'd experienced, questions about what I should wear, should I take my shoes off, I want to make sure I don't insult people, and also questions like, will I be safe in a mosque? Is this going to be okay for me? Are you sure that we're invited to be there? And all of these questions, again, questions are good. They mean that we're curious. And so a lot of folks went into it not really knowing what they were going to experience. And that's exactly the experience that I am going to encourage you to have more in your life. That sort of, I don't really know, but I'm still going. And I've received feedback at the end of the night and then later on that people had amazing conversations with folks and connected in totally unexpected ways and found commonality across what appeared to be a lot of difference. And it really broadened people's views. And this is the excitement for me of cross-cultural connection. When we can stay with that discomfort and keep moving, we actually get a lot out of it. So we want to make sure that we don't just keep slipping into that lizard fight, flight, or freeze response. So I'm calling it lizard. I'll explain that in a second. So in response to difference, if we're excited, we're in the higher brain. If we're frustrated and feeling more negative emotions, we've slipped down into the lower brain, fight, flight, or freeze. A very simple way of thinking about this is we're in the higher brain, it's in the wizard brain. This is a part of creating like a common vocabulary with everyone so they can quickly say, like, are you in your wizard brain or you slip down into your lizard brain? You know, the reptilian brain is more of the lizard brain. So when that wizard brain is destabilized by either social threat, actual threat, discomfort, conflict, we lose the ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, to maintain optimism, to manage unconscious bias. You can imagine how important that is for cross-cultural work. And to build trust, which we'll talk about more in a moment. The lizard brain is characterized by narrowed perception, rigid thinking, and utter conviction that we know what is right and increased confidence in our perspective. This is something that will help us on the plains of the Serengeti getting away from the lion, but it will not help us build relationships. So the call to action is to discern that cultural difference is not a threat, and to not let the lizard brain run the show. So how do we do this?